We are coming up to round 4 of the AFL, and I would like to say, if you've used any of my tips so far for betting, I am deeply, deeply sorry, but also you're a fool because I've been absolutely awful. But here we go, on to round 4. So as we do, let's check out the previous week and how we did. It was not good. I got 3 correct results with a couple of extra points for having a fairly close result. Now, the first game was Thursday. It was the Western Bulldogs versus Brisbane Lions. And as 81% of people thought, we thought the Lions were going to win. The Bulldogs had been pretty poor in the first 2 games. And I didn't really hold up much help for the Bulldogs. So I did the Lions by 30. It just so happens, the Dogs won by 14, so not a good start for me at all. Next, on Friday, we had Collingwood versus Richmond. 88% of people thought Collingwood this time. They have been on fantastic form, even if it pains me to say. But I predicted Collingwood by 10. They won by 14. I get the point for the match and an extra point for a close result. Sweet. This one, once again, it seems some shocking results because this on Saturday was Hawthorn versus North. 86% thought that North would win. They'd started the season really, really well. For a team that I predicted to finish right down at the bottom, they started off well. Hawthorn had not started well. The ideal thing is North to win. I did North by 10. However, no, sorry, I did North by 6. However, Hawthorn managed to win by 19. That is a real shocker, if I'm honest. Next up, the second game on Saturday. I don't know what I was doing, if I'm honest. I really don't know. Why did I bet against Carlton? I was in the 25% that went GWS, and they only lost by 10. I did them to win by 6. Carlton won by 10, so nothing on that one. Another good enough result by Carlton. They're not blowing anyone away. They're doing enough to get the 2 wins and a draw. Doing enough. That is what I actually said that Carlton do. They're an average team that does just about enough. Anyway, next up we've got St Kilda, who have been on cracking form, and Essendon. Essendon haven't been doing too bad either. So I went for a 6-point win to St Kilda. They actually won by 18. I get the extra point for being within, I think it's within 30% or something like that of the score. So I did okay there. And Essendon, yeah, they weren't favourites to win, so I think that was about right. Next, this was, as I said, the toughest game, I thought. One of the toughest games to predict in the league. And actually, this team, I think, has the highest percentage that people voted. Most people, 92%, voted for Port to win. I did Port to win by 10. I wasn't sure. I knew it could have gone either way. But did I expect the Crows to win by 31? No. And only 8% of people went for Crows. And as you can see, no one got anywhere near. I think one person gets an extra point for being close. I use that term loosely. But a fantastic win by Crows. And as I said, they're both teams are fairly even. It can go either way with them. You know, they can either have a cracking game or an awful game. Next up, who predicted Gold Coast Suns to win? Gold Coast, 14%. They won 73-54. I did Geelong by 35. I thought that was a decent prediction. And no, the Gold Coast Suns won by 19. The question is, what the hell is going on with bottom place Geelong Cats? I predicted them not to do as well as they did last year, but not this bad. There's still plenty of time. But it is a disaster at the moment, right? Then, oh God, this was depressing. This was really depressing. I did Swans to win by 20. We'd been playing so well. And then we get blown out of the water and we lose by 50. We were awful. As a Swans fan, we did the live watch-along for this. Make sure you do come and check out our watch-alongs when we do them. I say our, I mean me. 64% thought Swans would win. We were awful. Our passing was awful. Amati couldn't score in a brothel. It was just poor choices a lot of the time. Going long when we could have played short. Really, really poor from Sydney. And actually, even without Gawn, Melbourne did really well. You can't fault them for doing well. So another not so good result for me. Then the last game, we ended up with Fremantle versus West Coast Eagles. Now, I predicted Fremantle. I've been saying Fremantle are going to do well this year. That really, really helps them because they've been struggling in the first 2 games, losing by 1 point, I think, last week. I did Fremantle to win by 10. I wasn't that ambitious. They actually won by 41. And really, I should have predicted that. I think they West Coast aren't that good. But there we are. There are the results and how I did last week. So if we're looking at the leaderboard for this week, Jackson is still number 1. Didn't have quite as good a week this week. Rymis is up to 2nd. Looking at some movers, Mike Joe gone up 21 places, same as Methodical Flame. Who else has done? Riley Bork has done very, very well, up 35 places. Stephen J. Will, he is the man of the week, up 47 places. Fantastic. We've got people going down. Ooh, I'm going down. Hang on, I'm finding where I am. I went down 15 places to 49. Let's have a look who is sitting bottom at the moment. Yutha got Wooden Spoon. He only got 1 correct, or she only got 1 correct. So the first game this week is on Thursday. It's at the Gabba. It is Brisbane Lions versus Collingwood. Now, how well will Collingwood do going up north slightly? Brisbane are very sporadic at the moment, but you can only really go with Collingwood, I think. Their form has been fantastic. I don't think it'll be a big win, but who knows with how I've been picking. I'm going to do Collingwood by 6 on that one. It's all how they'll cope away from home, I think. Next up on Friday, we've got North versus Carlton. Now, do I bet on Carlton? I probably should, right? Maybe this is the downfall of North. They started off strong and down they go. It's at the Marvel. Carlton, see, they just don't blow teams away. But is them playing North Melbourne finally the game where they kick into gear and actually score plenty of goals? I'm going to go Carlton by 20. And I know I've backed North, but they let me down on that last one. Next, over at the Adelaide Oval on Saturday, the first game on Saturday is the Crows versus Dockers. Both teams got their first win this week, or last week. So which team do you think is going to capitalise on it? I'm going to go Fremantle to win. Isn't there the thing of whoever wins the Adelaide Derby, or the showdown, that team then loses the following week? So I'm going to use that. I'm going to go Fremantle by 20. Yes, I'm backing these boys. Next, at the MCG on Saturday, is Richmond versus Bulldogs. Once again, Richmond, a draw, a win, a loss. Bulldogs, a loss, coming off the back of a win. A big win they had. Can they capitalise on it? I don't know. I think I've got to go Richmond. I don't think... Yeah, I'm going to go Richmond by 10. But this is another one I really don't know. Neither's form is very good. You can't be relying on form on those. But I think Richmond may just edge it. I think they've got a stronger, more quality team. Richmond by 10. Next up at the Marvel. Are they playing 2 days in a row at the Marvel? St Kilda versus Gold Coast. St Kilda on fantastic form. Gold Coast, they coming off a win, but they are still Gold Coast, right? St Kilda, can they keep up their form? Probably. I'm going to go St Kilda by 20. I'm getting fairly big results here, I think, this week. Next up, the Swans. We are going to come back from just a dreadful performance. It's at the SCG. Swans by 20 as well. There you go. We've got to show some fight back after what an awful performance we had last week. I'm really hoping that anyway. Please, fingers crossed, Swans are going to come back fighting against Port. Next on Sunday, we've got Essendon versus GWS. GWS are, once again, they're sporadic. You don't know what they're going to do. Essendon had their first loss last week. Is it going to give them the motivation to get going again? I think I'll go with Essendon. I'm going to go Essendon by 10. Don't think they're prolific necessarily goal scorers. GWS, I think there'll be a tough match for them, but Essendon by 10. Then off to the Optus. At the Optus, it is the West Coast Eagles versus the Demons. West Coast are pretty awful. Melbourne maybe now are going to hit some form. 1-1, lost 1, 1-1. They are at the Optus. How much is that going to affect things? Probably not enough with how poor West Coast are. I'm going to go Demons by 30. And that's... Now let's push it up a bit. Let's do Demons by 40. They're really going to drive home the nail, right? Nail in the coffin. Monday. We've got a game on Monday. Why have we got a game on Monday? Maybe because it's Easter weekend, maybe, I suppose. Anyway, at the MCG, Geelong versus Hawthorn. Surely, I know Hawthorn are coming off a win, but surely the Cats have got to win. They've got to make a big statement. I'm going with them for 20. They've got to make a big statement here because they are at the bottom of the table doing awful. And here are the predictions for the week then. Brisbane versus Collingwood, Collingwood by 6. North versus Carlton, Carlton by 20. Adelaide Crows versus Dockers, Dockers by 20. Richmond versus Bulldogs, Richmond by 10. St Kilda versus Gold Coast Suns, St Kilda by 20. Sydney versus Port, Sydney by 20. Essendon versus GWS, Essendon by 10. West Coast versus Demons, Demons by 40. And Geelong Cats versus Hawthorn, Geelong by 20. Well, there you have it. Hopefully my results are going to be a little bit better this week. I desperately need to get back up the table, especially when I make claims like, I don't think you can beat me, and then I do awful. So make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you don't forget your tipping this week, and I will catch you next time.